Hello and welcome to Unacademy. I welcome you all to this new initiative, History Simplified. And the idea is very simple. You may be attempting the examination not for the first time, maybe for the second time, you're a repeater. And what you need is basically effective revision and understanding. And it is not that you need fundamentals. For that, we already have History for Beginners. This series and this tradition, which we will follow for the next 7 to 8 months, is I will keep on giving you understandings, I will keep on giving you concepts, I will keep on giving you certain form of guidance for topics which you can revise very effectively in this session in a very, you can say, efficient manner, not more than 10 to 15 minutes. So we will start with the most searched and the most, you can say, asked for topic, which is the Revolt of 1857. Revolt of 1857 has certain contours. Let's first establish them. Now, if you need the PPT of this session, this is your Telegram channel. Second, if you're looking for expert guidance and if you are starting a preparation, if you've basically prepared for somewhere else and you're looking for a guided program which can help you clear this examination, then 16,999 plus double validity offer is live right now. You have to use the code IS English. That is extremely important so that you can be tagged to our team, but also at the same time you can unlock this price also. Now, when we talk about Revolt of 1857, there is cause, there is course, and there is nature along with significance. Now, obviously, course cannot be asked in the examination because each and every sector you cannot actually reconstruct. But I have all the facts of the course here. Let's discuss each of these in the most efficient manner. When we talk about the causes, presuming that you understand the context for Revolt of 1857, the first one is political frustration, which is a long-term factor. We are discussing long-term factors. Politically, there was a lot of political frustration because titles were being taken away. Dalhousie was changing a lot of things. He was also at the same point of time taking away the estates. He was also using doctrine of lapse. Therefore, in Jhansi, in multiple sectors, because they did not have a naturally born son, their estates and their empires and their kingdoms will be taken away. Political frustration standard. Then it is economic. Economic, this is again land revenue settlements, commercialization, deindustrialization, drain, famines, all working together. Frustration, anger, landlessness, tenantization, absentee landlordism, sub-infeudation, the process of how peasants were losing out to every form of land revenue settlements. Then they are made to produce indigo, opium, which the British want them to produce. Weavers cannot compete with the Industrial Revolution cloth because now we have very cheap cloth and there are internal processes which have changed. There are people dying of starvation, which is famines, and at the end of the day, there is drain of wealth which is happening for a very long time in a very systematic manner, all leading to frustration by 1857. Then you have social, and social is interesting because in social there is a new concept which is called fear of conversion and fear that there will be some change over a period of time. Here there are 3 to 4 factors of which are working together. Social reform movement creates an understanding that they are intervening into sati, infanticide, widow remarriage, so they want to change society. At the same point of time, British are Christians. Christian missionaries can now operate after 1813 from British settlements also. At the same point of time, Christian missionaries were setting up mission schools and talking about Indian civilization in the worst way possible. Then comes a very important catalyst which is called as Lex Loci Act. Lex Loci Act basically allows a Christian convert to get property from his father as inheritance, which was not allowed previously. Lex Loci Act of 1850, and this allows the you can say debarring which was there previously will not be there, and therefore a father cannot deny inheritance to his son because he converted to Christianity. Again creates a lot of anxiety that the British will do something about Christianity and they're trying to convert us to Christianity. There's no plans for this, but the idea that Lex Loci, social reform movement, and the British intervention into society all creates fear and anxiety which the Sipahi embodies. The Sipahi embodies political frustration also. The Sipahi embodies economic frustration also. He's peasant in arms, and he also embodies this fear. Further, obviously, there is administrative corruption. There is no doubt about that. Coercion, flogging, corruption, too many judicial spaces. British do anything and everything. It is the rule of the British, not the rule of law. And remember one thing, that the revolt of 1857 was not an unprecedented event. There was a long tradition of resistance. Since the Sannyasi revolt, there are multiple revolts in the form of Veluthampi, in the form of Ramosi, peasant, tribal, and even generic rebellions which are happening. Resistance to Raj had already started in 1760s, and the idea is very simple. Revolt of 1857 is the culmination point. This allows us to enter into what are called as the immediate triggers. Immediate triggers are obviously three things. First, there was the change in military culture. Previously, under the Orientalist Hastings and all, they were allowed to have their caste markers, caste differentiation of, you can say, lodging, caste differentiation in eating habits, everything was there. There was this idea that it's a brotherhood, it was hereditary service, you're allowed to be what you want to be. However, from 1820s onwards, and specifically in 1850s, general enlistment rules will come through, and now everybody has to sleep in the same space, everybody has to eat in the same space, disciplining is happening, chaplains are allowed. So therefore, the Sipahi who already had social fear, political and, you can say, economic anger, now feels that the British are not giving us bhatta to go across the foreign lands, which is Sat Samudra Par. They are trying to do things where they're trying to take away our secondary identity, our caste identity, our religious markers. Therefore, it is very clear that the British are trying to do something. Then the second trigger is going to be, over and above this, the annexation of Awadh in 1856 under the concept of misgovernance, where Wajid Ali Shah was removed. Awadh was the principal place of recruitment, and when they will lose out on that, what will happen is that they will feel that their own spaces have now been colonized. Therefore, the peasant in arms now feels alienated, and the trigger is obviously going to be this Enfield rifle, which is a culmination point. The question is, they did not just revolt because of the Enfield rifle. Enfield rifle is the last nail in the coffin. A rifle which has a cartridge made out of cow and pig meat, and or you can say fat, and therefore it is seen as something which will forever change their religion. This is the way the British will change their religion. Therefore, it is not an irrational move, rather a rational understanding of everything making sense, and this cartridge being introduced as a way of basically taking away their religion. It's not an unprecedented concept. There was a trigger. The trigger was this Enfield rifle, but there's a backstory to it. We have to obviously understand all of these factors together to then understand why the Enfield rifle will lead to Barakpur regiment and then the Meerut regiment to rebel. Now, when we talk about course, from the context of UPSC Prelims, these are the things which you should know. If you want a detailed analysis, we do it in class. Every theater has a separate story, but we cannot discuss it in this context. So in Delhi, Bakht Khan, Bahadur Shah Zafar, and who took it back? I have put this on this slide. You can take a screenshot of this. You can keep this with you. Lucknow, Begum Hazrat Mahal, Bidris Kader, and Ahmadullah, and who took it back was basically Colonel Campbell. In Kanpur, Nana Sahib, you have Tatia Tope, and you have Colonel Campbell, who will again take it back. Then you have Jhansi, Rani Lakshmi Bai, Hugh Rose. In Jagdishpur, Kunwar Singh, Faizabad, Maulvi Ahmadullah Shah, Bagpat, Shamal, and then you have Bareilly, Khan Bahadur Khan, Patna, Maulvi Pir Ali, and Allahabad, which is Liaquat Ali. If you can learn this, you are sorted for any question on match the following. From cause to course, now most important concept, what is the nature? Now, there are 3 to 4 things which you have to understand. First thing, it was not a planned event. It had too many flaws. There was no end game. There were theaters not connected to each other. There was no centralized administration or centralized leadership. Further, it was more or less based on spontaneous reactions to certain important, you can say, triggers. Then, there is no conspiracy at a all India level. There is no sense of nationalism. This is a very important point you have to understand, that Revolt of 1857 will be later shown as a war of independence, but at this point of time, when you analyze it, it does not have any of the features of actually being a nationalistic movement. Rather, the nature of this event is called as a restorative revolt, which was trying to basically bring back the old world. Bahadur Zafar, Tatia Tope, Jhansi ki Rani, or for example, you have Nana Sahib, all the old world back. That is why it's called restorative revolt. Restorative revolt, Hindu-Muslim unity is there for sure. It was not a planned event. There are zamindars and even the Bhadralok Bengalis and the intellectuals who act like breakwaters. They are not helping. It is believed that only 1/3 of the Indian subcontinent and 1 in every 10 Indian actually rebelled in at this point of time, natives per se. And therefore, nature only tells you one thing. There was no planning. Therefore, the way the British took back 1858 and 59, it was extremely brutal. If we did violence, they did even more. Last point which comes here is significance. When we talk about significance, obviously, Revolt of 1857 ends the company rule, and crown rule is inaugurated with the Government of India at 1858. Government of India at 1858 is a direct consequence and introduces the Viceroy as a representative of the Secretary of State and the Crown. So now there will be no Court of Directors and the Board of Control. There will be Secretary of State, part of the British Parliament and Cabinet, and representing the Crown, and his India House with 15 members, and thereafter Viceroy. And this is the new structure which is put into place. There will also be the White Mutiny, which is basically the white officers of the East India Company, militia, or you can say private army, rebelling because their bhattas were taken away. And it will forever change the nature of the East India Company, or rather nature of the British itself, because East India Company is out of the context. But now Crown does not want to understand history, but wants to segregate and divide India as much as possible to rule it. So, cause, course, nature, significance, everything I have explained to you in the most efficient manner. Detailed analysis, obviously, we can do as much as we want to, but these are the things which should be in your mind when you're writing the mains answer, or when you're writing or basically looking at any question based on prelims. So I hope that this has been a good session for you. You have understood what I've tried to teach you. And if you want any other topic to be covered under this series, just write it in the comment section. I'll be happy to do it. Most probably I'll be doing Buddhism, Jainism, the civil disobedience movement, non-cooperation. I'll break down the syllabus in such a way that we can cover everything in the most comprehensive manner possible. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.